ask yourself, why is she sealing off this dash camera? The investigator is telling us that he was arguing inside the vehicle. Wouldn't you think this is the first piece of evidence that she's going to show the community that this monster was arguing with his girlfriend and he intentionally drove into oncoming? But this Commonwealth attorney is terrified to show us the dash camera? Something is not adding up. Now, unfortunately for the Commonwealth attorney, I have the dash camera. I stole this dash camera from her, and I leaked it on the internet. Now you can see that this investigator is flat out lying about the dash camera. There is no argument inside the vehicle. As a matter of fact, we'll come back to what Mostafa tells the investigator, but let's watch the dash camera really quick. The reason this Commonwealth attorney is terrified and she sealed off this dash camera from the community is because when you watch the dash camera, you'll see that Dorothy and Mostafa are passing back and forth a cigarette 6 times. And the question is, how could you be arguing if they're passing back and forth a cigarette 6 times? If Dorothy gives Mostafa direction 3 times. That's why the Commonwealth attorney is terrified. Let's go to the dash camera. This is the portion where Dorothy is giving Mostafa a cigarette. She passes the cigarette to Mostafa. And here, investigator Robert Drum wants to tell us that they were arguing inside the vehicle. He's like, Mostafa, the dash camera show that you were arguing inside the vehicle. But then when you watch the dash camera, you see that Dorothy is passing a cigarette to Mostafa back and forth 6 times. And that's why the Commonwealth attorney is terrified, and she sealed the dash camera from the community because she wants to tell the community that there's an argument inside the car. She wants to cover up for her investigator that falsified the police report and said, no, you told me that you were arguing inside the vehicle. And then when you actually watch the dash camera, you see Dorothy and Mostafa are passing back and forth a cigarette 6 times. So that's the first time they passed a cigarette. Here you see Mostafa passing a cigarette to Dorothy. Let's watch that one more time. Mostafa passes the cigarette to Dorothy. She gives him directions. And this is the part. So here she gives him directions. And then here he passes the cigarette to Dorothy. I mean, pay close attention. Here she gives him direction, and he specifically tells her which way. You zoom in on Mostafa, and we'll zoom in. He tells her which way. She's giving him directions. You see how she gestured? Keep going straight. Let's zoom in on Mostafa. Watch that one more time. You see Mostafa says, you can lip read what he says. He says, which way? Which way? And then she gestures. Keep going straight. Now the problem with the prosecutor wants to tell you that here Dorothy says, I want to get out of the car. She got herself a bullshit lip reader. She got herself, I mean, look at what's happening here. They falsified the police report. They mute and cut the audio. They cut the dash camera. And they got themselves an expert, a lip reader, a bullshit lip reader that wants to tell you here Dorothy is saying, I want to get out of the car. When in fact, they're passing back and forth a cigarette 6 times. She's giving him direction, but the lip reader wants to take the stand and say, Dorothy says, I want to get out of the car. But they want to hide this dash camera from you. This is why this camera is sealed. Because when you watch it, you'll start seeing the bullshit. Here you see Mostafa give Dorothy. Dorothy gives Mostafa, passes a cigarette to Mostafa. This is the 3rd time. You see the boombox in the back. This is a JBL speaker, so when the sound go back and forth, the faster it goes back and forth, they're listening to music. This is Dorothy giving Mostafa directions for the 3rd time. Mostafa is taking Dorothy to her mom's anniversary. They're laying flower on her mother's grave. So Dorothy is giving him direction. This is Mostafa passing the cigarette to Dorothy. You see how she grabs the cigarette from Mostafa? I mean, watch how Dorothy grabbed the cigarette from Mostafa, and we'll zoom in. You see how she grabs the cigarette from Mostafa? Look how she feels Mostafa's fingers as she grabs the cigarette. Dorothy loved Mostafa. They loved each other. And you can tell how Dorothy takes the cigarette from Mostafa. And that's why the prosecutor is so terrified. The prosecutor is so terrified that the Commonwealth, that the community is going to see this dash camera. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor wants to conditionally enter this dash camera into where the jury doesn't get to see it. Let's zoom in. Now, she's not only terrified that the community is watching this dash camera, she's terrified that the jury is going to see Mostafa and Dorothy are passing back and forth the cigarette 6 times. Dorothy feels Mostafa's fingers as she grabbed the cigarette. Let's zoom in on Dorothy's hands and how Dorothy takes a cigarette from Mostafa. Pay close attention to how Dorothy takes the cigarette from Mostafa. They're driving normal. Everything's okay. They're passing back and forth a cigarette. This is Dorothy gives Mostafa the cigarette. This is the 5th time that they pass a cigarette back and forth. Robert Drum wants to tell you they're arguing. In a phone call, when he talks to Mostafa, look how Dorothy grabs the cigarette from Mostafa. I'm going to zoom in. You see how Dorothy feels Mostafa's fingers as she grabbed that cigarette? We're going to rewind. Watch how Dorothy feels Mostafa's fingers as she grabs the cigarette. And you want to tell me that they're arguing? Robert Drum wants to tell you they're arguing inside the vehicle. But his Commonwealth attorney is so terrified that she sealed off this dash camera.